to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We welcome all of you here for our December 7th, 2022 Commission meeting. The first item on our agenda is approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes to approve tonight, October 19th and November 2nd. Have any corrections or additions to those minutes?
I don't have any corrections.
I don't either. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the October 19th commission meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Got November 2nd.
I didn't see any corrections. I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 2 is presentation of Employee of the Month. Kellie Payne.
Hello, commissioners. Oh, I couldn't even, I'm like, I swear she's not here. Okay. Anywho, I'm sorry. Our December Employee of the Month is Elaine Gruley. She has been employed with Carbon County since March of this year. And I personally just want to thank her because she's super social and funny and makes me laugh all the time when she comes up. So, but I'm not the one who nominated her. I will let Christina go ahead and do the nomination.
All of us in the USU Extension Office appreciate the hard work that Elaine does. In the 4 years that I've been here, this is the cleanest our office, classroom, kitchen, and restrooms have ever been, and I credit it all to Elaine. There are many people from the community who come in and out of our doors for meetings, classes, and events, and it speaks volumes to them of how well the county cares for the building when they see how clean and nice our office is. Elaine pays attention to detail and often goes above and beyond to make sure things are clean. The trash is emptied, and we have what we need to keep things in order. She's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen, and we are grateful to have her. Neither one of us like the spotlight, so congratulations.
Here you go.
Congratulations, Elaine, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We want your photo. We want a 5-minute speech.
Yeah, thanks, Elaine. We have a lot of very good employees here, so this gives us a chance to highlight occasionally one of them each month. Item number 3 is a presentation of the Super Service Award for November and December. Tina Grange.
Okay. So we weren't here in November because we were attending the fall conference for UAC. So this young lady is always a pleasure to deal with. I visit Starbucks in the morning. I use the mobile app as many others do, and they are usually pretty slammed in the morning. She really stands out to me because even though they are busy filling mobile orders, she still greets everyone with a smile and tells them, "Sorry for the wait, we will be right with you." Being recognized with a simple hello means a lot to customers who are waiting in line. She always follows it with a "have a great day," and if she knows your name, she calls you by name. What a great ambassador to have in our community. The November Super Service Award goes to Fan Van Wagner with Starbucks. Thank you so much. Did you want to say anything?
No, I never really think I will get the awards, but thank you for you guys vote for me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
There you
you.
go. There's some gift cards in there for you, and she'll want to take your photo.
Here?
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fan. Congratulations.
See, she remembered my name. Did you hear her call me too? Okay, and our December Super Service Award, I'll just read the nomination. Jim is an outstanding representation of customer service in the corridor. He is always helpful and goes the extra mile to help visitors looking for travel information. He has also been a huge help to the tourism office with stocking brochures, even when when needed with no complaints, and we appreciate him so much. He has been a great partner to work with, which is why he's being nominated for the Tourism Super Service Award. Our December Super Service Award and the last one for 2022 is Jim Guy with the USU Eastern Prehistoric Museum. Do you want to say anything?
I love being back in Price, and I love working at the museum. How about that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah, these folks make a big difference in our community for
Definitely.
visitors and helping us feel welcome. So thank you. Item 4 is the presentation of Tax Advisory Board recommendations for 2023 tourism budget. Tina?
Awesome. Thanks, commissioners. You all have a copy of the proposed budget. First of all, Shani wanted to be here, but she had a prior engagement, so she has asked me to present the recommendations of our board. I thought it would be important, especially where it's a public meeting, to talk a little bit about transient room tax and the money that comes into our department and how that's used before we go over the budget. So in July of 2011, legislation was changed and removed the ability for counties to collect their own TRT. And the Utah State Tax Commission was given authority to collect those monies, where a statute was made to create a tourism tax advisory board. So the tax advisory board is made up of at least 5 members. They must be a county resident, and the majority of the members are current employees of entities in the county that are subject to the taxes. So those who collect hotel tax and restaurant tax. The balance of the board's membership are employees of recreational facilities, convention facilities, museums, cultural attractions, or other tourism-related industries located within the county. Carbon County currently has 9 tax advisory board members. Excuse me. The purpose of having the board is to provide the county commission with a priority listing for proposed expenditures based on projected available tax revenues supplied to the board by the county legislative body on an annual basis for both transient room tax and restaurant tax. Just for those who are watching or here today, we talk a lot about like acronyms and we abbreviate a lot of things. So we talk a lot about TRT. What is TRT? TRT is a tax on the rental of rooms in hotels, motels, inns, trailer courts, campgrounds, tourist homes, and similar accommodations for stays of less than 30 consecutive days. Carbon County collects 4.25%, and city municipalities are allowed to collect 1% and put into their general fund. County tourism has more restrictions on how we can spend that money. 53% is to be used for projects such as acquiring and operating convention rooms, visitor information centers, museums, or sports and recreation facilities. The remaining 47% is used for establishing and promoting tourism, recreation, film production, and conventions. 100% of TRT is allowable for establishing and promoting tourism. Finally, in 2021, the legislation finally defined what is tourism promotion. So it was defined as an activity to develop, encourage, solicit, or market tourism that attracts transient guests to the county, including planning, product development, advertising. TRT is also used to mitigate the impacts of tourism and recreation and conventions, which makes it allowable to pay for solid waste, disposable operations, emergency medical services, search and rescue activities, law enforcement, and road repair. Really quickly, what is TRCC, which is a really long definition? It's tourism, recreation, cultural, convention, and airport tax. So 1% comes from restaurant tax, and 3% comes from short-term leases and rental of motor vehicles. So anybody who like rents ATVs or snowmobiles or anything like that, that tax is generated and put into that fund. And it can be used for financing tourism promotion, as well as development, operation, and maintenance of airports, convention facilities, cultural facilities, or a tourist facility. Our tax advisory board met on November 8th, where Shani, the director of tourism and economic development, presented the tourism budget, our proposed budget for 2023. We continue to increase our revenues year over year. I started in 2016, and year over year, compared to where we are now, we've seen close to a 73% increase in our transient room tax and restaurant taxes. So even through COVID, the county did very well. And I think a lot of that's attributed not to just our marketing, but to the efforts of our hoteliers and our restaurant owners in thinking outside the box and doing things different, like buying gift certificates ahead of time or ordering online, curbside pickup, all of those awesome things to be able to stay in business. So based on what we have projected, based on that, we have projected that we will collect $386,680 in TRT for next year and $300,000 in TRCC. And providing a list and priority consists of the following. I just wanted to say, we are currently sitting at 7.38% increase over last year overall. So with that, as a list of priority for our TRT, of course, to mitigate, you need a staff. And so number one of our priority order is paying for employees and benefits. Also, a temporary employee, which would help pay with our agreement for the museum staff that helps with the visitor center, and as well as a content creator that works for us part-time. Next in line is our advertising and promotion. As you know, we work with an ad agency, but that whole entire line item pays for our ad agency, our design and distribution of rack cards, brochures, paid media buys and publications, commercials, YouTube, Google ads, all those wonderful things we do. We do have a line for state matching programs because we do apply for grants, and sometimes those are a one-to-one match. So we allocate some funding for the co-op marketing grant. And as it talked about, like waste that we can use the money for, pit toilet maintenance. So the tourism department pays for the maintenance of the toilets on Wood Hill and also in 9 Mile Canyon, the one at the Cottonwood, Glenwood picnic area. Is that what it is? I can't think of it. Daddy's Canyon is paid for and taken care of by the BLM. And then we have like our photography and video, our standard office supplies, which isn't very high, fuels and lubricants, because we do have 2 vehicles. We do ship out full boxes of visitor guides to all the visitor centers throughout the state. And as well, and then our postage we send out to anybody who requests information from the county. We also send that out. We do have some yearly subscriptions and memberships, those being our Utah Tourism Industry Association, our Destination Marketing Associations, UTV, Castle Country OHV, Constant Contact, things like that. We don't pay for Zoom anymore, so we just do Google Meets. So yeah, that's an order of priority for that. Again, we're projected to bring in $386,680, and our expenses are the same, totaling at the bottom. And then we have our restaurant tax. We are projecting that we will bring in $300,000 in restaurant tax. This is the one that has a little bit more leniency on how we can use that. We use $200,000 of that is transferred to the event center to help maintain all of those grounds. So the fairgrounds, the event center, and then also that oversees North Springs. And so that money is used for that. And in the past, we have used quite a bit of money for promotion of events and helping people get started with new events in the area. I've had a lot of conversation about that because we've had a lot of people that apply year after year, and we've also had some new people, and trying to figure out how tourism dollars can better benefit our community as a whole. And with the help of the board and, of course, the commission, we are very focused on tourism infrastructure and having the infrastructure in place so that we are ready for our visitors when they are coming, whether that's, we just completed our wayfinding project. And so it's directing people how to get to the trails or how to get to places is important. So the other $100,000, Shani and I proposed to our board, instead of allocating that funding for events, we presented the idea of a public arts murals grant. the two big murals that were done this year in Price were very popular and a huge hit. And we've talked to several people that want a piece of that. And we talked about how can we beautify our community and how can tourism dollars help with that. So we propose that $50,000 of that $100,000 gets put into that one-to-one matching grant where people can create public art. So that could be murals, statues, arches if they want arches. And the board was very, very excited about that. And the remaining, so we talked about, well, what if, do we not fund any events, or what if there's money left over and that whole 50,000 isn't used? Then we talked about after the April 14th deadline for the public arts grant, whatever money's left over, then event planners would be able to come to the board and request funding if needed. So everything that we presented, our board was excited about, and their recommendation was to approve our proposed budget for 2023, which we now propose to the commission. And I know you can't approve that today, but do you guys have any questions about what we have proposed?
I don't have any questions. Looks like a good plan, pointed in the right direction.
I don't have any questions either. I'm excited about the focus on the infrastructure and building out our tourism assets.
Yeah, I don't have any questions either, and I just want to compliment you. The work that you guys have done and the amount of TRT that it continues to increase really is appreciated. The kiosks and things that are around the community, if folks get a chance to check those out, a lot of thought and detail went into those. So thank you for getting those.
You bet.
Yeah, and a thank you to the board.
Yes.
There's a real diverse group there that is really thinking outside the box, and their goals are in line with some good growth. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, commissioners.
Item number 5 is ratification of agreement to amend the community-based child abuse prevention contract to reflect an increase in funds. Shelley.
Hi. So back, October, I believe it was, we had the CBCAP contract amend our current contract because we have additional funding to last us until now 2025. And so it's just additional money that was added to the same program. We're doing our home education program, going into the homes, working with our prenatal families and trying to help strengthen those families with this pot of money. So it's child abuse prevention.
And we had a time element to it, and the contract was signed, so we just need to ratify that tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Any questions for Shelley?
No, just more compliments. Appreciate what you and your staff do, and the CJC and all that's involved. It's as we've talked before, it's a sad thing that we need to have that in our community, but it is a good thing on the flip side that we have it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your
Thank you.
support.
I'll make a motion to ratify the community-based child abuse prevention contract.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks so
Motion
much.
carries. Item 6, a ratification of the interagency coordination and subrecipient contract agreement with Carbon County and Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments.
Looks like we don't really have a representative here tonight, unless Todd wants to stand up for him.
No, Commissioners, this is the agreement that we had with the Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments for Robbie Jensen, who has been managing our senior center. This should have been done earlier in the year, but they didn't get us the contract. Nobody's fault, but this will just solidify the contract that we've had with them through the remainder of the year.
Great.
Any other questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion that we ratify the agency coordination and sub-recipient contract agreement with Carbon County and the Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 7 is consideration and possible approval of property tax adjustments. I don't see Gillen here tonight, but so there have been additional adjustments to individuals' property taxes that require commission approval. And so we have a list of parcels in the county that the assessor's office has identified either some errors or has made adjustments that they are recommending to us as a commission that we make some changes. So we need to go through these. I think we should be able to read all of these in.
There too. Okay.
So let's go to that second page. Lynn, do you think it's okay just to read all these with the intended adjustments and then approve them all at once?
Yes.
Okay. So we have parcel 02-1088-0022. And the parcel was previously not on Greenbelt, and in error it does qualify, so there's a reduction of taxes for that parcel of $372.49. Anything questioning on that one? Okay, the next one is parcel 01-1054-0000, and this parcel was misclassified as commercial, and it really is a residential residence. So there's a reduction of that tax amount by $2,485.75. Any questions there? Okay.
Nope.
Next one is parcel 01-1607-0000. This property qualifies for primary residential exemption, and it will decrease the tax $343.02. Stop me if you have questions. The next one is parcel 02-1261-0000. This parcel also qualifies for primary residential exemption at a reduction of $902.45. Next parcel is 02-1264-0000. This one also qualifies for primary residential exemption with a reduction of $859.97. The next parcel is 02-1278-0000. This parcel qualifies for a primary residential exemption at a reduction of $218.97. The next one is parcel 2A-0515-0000. This is personal business property was included in real property, and they are not the owners. And so there's a reduction of $2,380.90. The next parcel is 01-1973-0188. This taxpayer is assessed living and home has been demolished. So this was a home that had been torn down, and the assessor's office was not aware of that. So the reduction there is $710.17. The next parcel is 2A-0013-0069. This is a personal RV property, was included as real property and is not permanent structure. So a reduction of $608.10. Next parcel is 02-1835-0000. The taxpayer provided qualifying evidence for the purchase of the home. The home is in the process of being readied for demolition. So there's a reduction there of $311.81. Next parcel is 02-1915-0000. And so this is one that was not figured at the green belt a deduction and needs to be. And so there's a deduction there of $1,973.48. And parcel 1B-0239-0000 for the same reason that the green belt was not applied and it needed to be. So the difference is 1,000, or a reduction of that parcel of $1,778.96. That's the list. Are there any questions on any of them?
No, I don't have any questions. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the property tax adjustments that you've mentioned.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 8 is consideration and possible adoption of Ordinance 563, a change to the Carbon County zoning district map from R1-8000 to C1, located at 1267 North Carbonville Road, parcel 2-0809-2 for Antonio Mendoza Alonso. Any questions? This is an existing building that they want to make into a restaurant. Is that correct? So you're here, and it just requires this change in ordinance. The Planning Commission has recommended that this change be made.
And at one time, it used to be a gas station, so it has been commercial in the past, so I don't see any problem with this at all.
I don't see any problems with it either. Just for the public, if they're looking it up on our website, you have to add a 0 in front of the, so it'd be 02-0809-0002.
This is on Carbonville Road, out there by the Circle C Trader Court. Is that accurate? Right out in front of there. We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 563, changing the Carbon County zoning from R1-8000 to C1.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9 is consideration and possible adoption of Ordinance 564, a change to the Carbon County zoning district map from RR 2.5 to M&G, located near Coal Creek Road, parcel 2-2156-0000 and 2-2156, I'm assuming that's -0001.
Yes.
For RC Solar, rPlus Energies.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. Name's Antonio Resta. I work as a developer, specifically on RC Solar, but for the company of rPlus Energies. I've spoken in front of the Planning and Zoning Committee about this zone change from rural residential 2.5 to mining and grazing, I believe twice now. I know that they have recommended it for approval, but I stand here in front of you guys to answer any last minute questions that you guys might have, because I am looking for that approval here today.
Maybe you could take a minute or two and just kind of give a brief explanation of what you're wanting to do out there.
Absolutely, Commissioner. We were the developers that developed and built the graphite solar project that happened out there. We would like to follow in the same footprints. We are looking to build a utility solar project, roughly 918 acres, 125 megawatts DC or 80 megawatts AC with 20 megawatts of battery. We're looking to fall in the same footprint as the graphite solar, so it would be the same ish size as graphite solar, but it would be the RC solar project's southernmost border would share the northern border of the graphite solar. So it'd be right there. The Gentile line would follow directly parallel to the Gentile line that was on graphite solar and feed straight into the Mathington substation, just like the graphite solar project.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Of course.
I don't have any questions. The only thing I would add is maybe having a conversation, just because after graphite solar, there was a couple of the landowners that you had agreed to do the development with, came back and said, well, now my taxes have gone up on my property. I just please, as you work through this with this one, inform them that their taxes are going up because they're going from
Much to something.
greenbelt land
Yes.
to commercial property.
Yes.
And so there will be an increase on their property taxes, of which you're paying them
Yes.
to locate
Correct,
there,
yes.
but they need to understand that, because there was some confusion with some of the previous landowners.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, we are currently working through those with the new owners of the project themselves.
Perfect.
So we understood that was a lapse in communication between all parties involved, and we have rectified that, and moving forward, we will do the same. And this is the lawyer for the landowner that is currently asking to be rezoned from rural residential.
Perfect.
Do you have any comments, Mike?
If I could just briefly address the county commissioners, it's good to see all of you. And my name is Michael Jensen, and I represent Dix Jensen. That's the item on these two parcels, 2156, I think, and 2156-1. We don't have a lease yet that is signed by the parties. So we ask that it simply be put on hold until that lease agreement is signed. The negotiations have been completed, essentially. I was notified a couple days ago by RC Solar, our Plus Energy's attorney, Becky Johnson, that it should be in signature-ready form, and it's a matter of getting it signed. But until it is signed, we probably should hold off until that takes place.
You probably don't want to pay the taxes on a commercial property until.
Commissioner, that's exactly right. There's a second item with respect to that, and that is the zoning issue. Involved in this is 380 acres, but not all of it will come under developed property and what we term undeveloped property under the lease itself. And it's my understanding that rPlus Energy will be obtaining a survey of the property so that that portion, which is still under Greenbelt, or should be still under Greenbelt, will remain under Greenbelt. And the rest of it will be rezoned. So with those two things, first of all, the lease to be signed, and then I think the county commissioners can move forward with approving the rezoning, subject to the survey being done. That's all I have.
Todd, do you have anything to add?
My comment would be it'd be similar to when we've worked with Blackhawk on their zone change earlier in the year. It was approved based off the survey that will be submitted, and none of that will be recorded or completed until the survey comes in and the lease requirement comes in as it is. So it'd be contingent on getting those two things done. So we just zone change, like Mike said, those portions, and the lease comes in that they agree to, and then we can finalize the ordinance on that, but it's contingent on those two things.
So we just need a motion to table until the landowner is ready to move forward.
Or we can approve with the
Excuse me, I
stipulation.
didn't hear that.
We just need a motion to table until the landowner is ready.
Antonio, you want to address that first, and then I will?
Absolutely. Could we approve, and then as the lease does get recorded and the exact location does get surveyed, that is what gets submitted into the application of the rezone, but the rezoning as a whole on those 2 parcels of land be approved already? Is that something that we could go about?
I don't have any objection to that, subject to those 2 conditions being met. That would save the county commissioners having to look at it again at a later date.
And Todd, you're nodding yes, you're okay with that. So that is a possibility to approve it tonight based on those 2 conditions. There you go. Okay.
There's no other discussion. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve ordinance 565 contingent on a lease being signed and a survey being done for the change to the Carbon County zoning district map from RR-2.5 to RR-1 located at 1965 West Coal Creek Road.
Yes, sir.
Oh, am I reading the wrong one?
Yeah.
Sorry, I wrote all over the other one, so I'm a line down. So ordinance 564 contingent on the lease and the survey being done, that we change the Carbon County zoning district map from RR-2.5 to M&G located on Coal Creek Road, parcel number 02-2156-0000 and 02-2156-0001 for RC Solar and rPlus Energies.
Does that motion sound okay?
I did. Let me just interject one thing before you vote on it. And Antonio, it's Dix's, my understanding that once the lease and the easement are signed and a memorandum of that recorded at the recorder's office, then the survey will take place.
Correct.
Okay.
It'll be
So they'll go in that order, and Antonio will keep you apprised. So
Do you already have a power purchase agreement for this plant?
we are working through it.
Okay. I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners. I appreciate it.
Thank you all. These solar fields, if they were tried to be built 10 years ago, they would never happen. With all of the current conditions with power plants and the coal mines and the news that at some point they will be converted to something else, the power plants, that this solar's a good addition to our community. So thank you for your work, and the last project went smooth, so we expect this one will too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 10 is consideration and possible adoption of Ordinance 565, a change to the Carbon County zoning district map from RR-2.5 to RR-1 located at 1968 West Coal Creek Road, parcel number 2-1530-0006 for Jackie and Shani Adair. Todd, why don't you maybe address that one?
So this zone change, Mrs. Adair owns, and it's a 3-acre parcel. What they're wanting to do is change the zone to 1 acre so they can split it in half. So there would be an existing home on 1.5 acres, and then her granddaughter wants to build a home on the other 1.5 acres. So they'll just survey it down the middle so that her granddaughter can build a home on the other portion of that property.
And you had mentioned that you've received a couple of letters.
Oh, yes.
In objection to that.
Yes, so we received 2 letters. I believe it was Mr. and Mrs. Cook and
Georgianne France?
yes, They're opposed to the zone change. They'd like to see it, stay a 2.5 acre zone and keep it an agricultural area. So they are opposed to the zone change. And then last night at the planning commission meeting, we didn't receive any other public comments during our public hearing last night.
So the recommendation from planning commission was to approve.
Yes, recommendation was to approve.
Any other questions or concerns?
No, it's a tough deal when people oppose other people in their private land and what they want to do. I appreciate that we live in a place where we can voice our opinions. Ultimately, I think as long as we're following the guides, the codes, everything within the county, I don't see anything that detours us from awarding and approving this. So.
I don't either.
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 565, a change to the Carbon County zoning map from RR 2.5 to RR 1, located at 1968 West Coal Creek Road on parcel 02-153-00006.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 11 is consideration and approval of appointment of board applications to the Carbon County boards. So each year, at the end of the year, there are, we have multiple boards that the county asks for applications for folks who are interested in being part of some of the decision-making process here in the county to sit on one of the boards that we have in place, and the terms that each of those board members have a limit on how long they serve. Usually it's 4 years. And so we have several of these board appointments that the terms are up, and we need to put people back into those positions. So there's, in many cases, those serving on these boards continue to ask to stay on the board, and sometimes we don't get any other applicants, so we just reappoint. Some of them have been on the board for as many as 40 years. So we have several of these boards that we need to make some appointments to, and maybe we can just start with the very first one on our list, and that is the Career Service Council. There are 5 vacancies. This board has been kind of vacant for quite a while. It's one that would be convened when we have some employee issues, I think. Is that correct? Yes. We've never done it yet, but we don't have anyone that's applied for that, so that board will stay vacant. The second board is the Planning Commission, and there are 2 vacancies that we are aware of until today, and we've actually had a resignation of Richard Tatton, who has served on that board for 40 years. And he's just getting to the point where this is a little hard for him, and so he's asked us to accept his resignation, which would create 3 vacancies on that board. And we have received applications or letters of intent to stay on the board from Paul Anderson, who currently is serving on the board and would like to stay. We have received a letter from Kurt McFarland, who currently serves on that board and is anxious to stay. And we have received applications from Bradley Marston, from Joseph Shimano, Lisa Simmons, and Lena Topolovic. So we have...
Did you say Kirk McFarland as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so with the resignation of Richard Tatton tonight, we have 3 full-time positions to fill, and then we also have alternates. We have 1 alternate that's been approved, and that is Richard Hackwell. So on this board, occasionally we don't have enough that can be at the meeting to form a quorum, so no decisions can be made. So a few years ago, we started adding these alternates, and they usually attend the meeting, and if we're short even one person at the meeting, then that alternate can sit in and take the place of the board member that's not there. So we've had a thought from Todd Thorne, our planning administrator, that if we, one option would be to have Richard Hackwell move from the alternate position into a permanent board member. And then we have the other two that haven't been on that long that are performing very well for us. There's a possibility of hanging on to those two. And then allowing for a couple of these to serve as alternates on the board, so most all of them would have an assignment. So any other thoughts or comments?
No, I think keeping some experience on the planning and zoning board would be probably a good idea. So the two that have opt up to re-enlist for another term, I think we should stick with. And then as far as, you know, two others that we could possibly bring up as alternates, I would suggest Bradley Marston and Lisa Simmons.
Yeah, is that in a form of a motion?
Just discussion so far.
Yeah, discussion, but
I'm good with that. I think that's a good recommendation. I like moving Richard up onto to the board, leaving Paul and Kurt on the board as well.
Okay. There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion then. Make a motion that we reinstate Paul and Kurt McFarland for board members, that we move Richard Hackwell up from an alternate position to the board, and then for two alternates, add Bradley Marston and Lisa Simmons.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Just to be clear, to have Richard Hackwell fill the remainder of Richard Tatton's term.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That'll help. So his term will be short.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't remember how long Richard would have.
I think Richard Tatton's term would expire in 23, if I remember right. So then Richard Hackwell would fill that term, and then there's multiple ones would be open up next year. We have others expiring, so we would go through the same process, but Richard Hackwell would fill the remainder of Richard Tatton's term, whatever that length is.
Replace Richard with Richard.
Yes.
Can that be included in that motion without redoing it?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, the next board is our Economic Development Board. This is a board that was formed 2 years ago. The state of Utah Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity sends directly to Carbon County in the form of a grant, $200,000 that can be distributed locally in appropriate ways to businesses to help with business expansion and growth. And the board had to be set up following the state guidelines. And so there were different parts of the community that had to be represented on that board. And two of the board members were given only a 2-year term so that we could have offsetting years when the board had to be reassigned, so we don't end up with a full new board that doesn't know what's going on. But one of those was Lane Miller, who is a representative from the municipal side of our community. And so Lane is a city councilman for Price City, and it's a requirement for that board position to be filled by someone who actually represents one of the cities as an elected official. And we had 2 additional applications for this board appointment, Bradley Marston and also Joseph Ximeno, which neither of those fit the requirements of that state statute. So Lane Miller has agreed to continue if we would reappoint him, but the other 2 would not qualify.
I think Lane's doing a great job. I'll make a motion to approve Lane Miller.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. The next one is the Southeastern Utah Board of Health District. Zach Kanakis currently serves on that board and has agreed to continue, and he's the only applicant for that appointment. That board has 3 people from Carbon County, 3 from Emery County, and 3 from Grand County, and 3 from San Juan that served on that board, which one of those has to be a county commissioner from each of those counties. So I have that assignment on our part, and so Zach would like to continue there.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we approve Zach Kanakis to the Southeast Board of Health.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The next one is the Schofield Reservoir Special Service District. It has 1 vacancy, and so this is a board that was created when the cabin subdivisions right down close to Schofield Reservoir, they install a sewer system that collects the sewer from all of those cabins and collects it into a system that gets pumped up away from the reservoir so that we don't have any contamination going into the reservoir. That's been quite a few years ago, maybe 20 years, when that work was done, and this district was formed. They collect the fees from each cabin in the area and take care of the maintenance and everything of that system. So the board had to be not compromised, but the appointments come from each of the different campsites or subdivisions. And we have 2 vacancies. One is in the Belota subdivision, and the second one is at the campsite subdivision. So currently Albert Spensko serves on that board. I think he has from the very beginning. Val Johnson serves to represent the campsite subdivision. And both of those have given us letters that indicate they would like to continue. And we also have received 1 application from Earl Rick Davis, who also has a cabin in the Belota subdivision. So we have 3 applicants, 2 of which come from the Belota subdivision and only 1 from the campsite. So it appears like the campsite we'd have to reappoint Val Johnson, and then we need a decision about either Albert Spensko or Rick Davis to serve representing the Belotas. Any thoughts? I do know Albert's been there, I think, from the beginning. He's been there quite a few years.
Well, the Val Johnson one is easy, right?
Yeah. And I might make a comment, too, about these board appointments. We've had quite a few this year that have applied, which is a little unusual since I've come in. So one thing we've tried to do is have some new blood in those appointments. So that would be an option even here.
Well, I don't know that I have a specific one that that I would be voting for either way. I think both of them would do a good job. So
I agree.
I'll make a motion to appoint Val Johnson and Earl Davis to Val Johnson to campsite and Earl Davis or Rick Davis to Belotus.
And I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The next board is the Water Conservancy Board for it's Carbon County Water Conservancy District. And we have 2 terms that are up. And again, this is a board that it's required that the applicants come from different parts of the county. So the county's been split up into different areas, and if you, the area that we have these openings would be for Area 2 and also for Area 3. I think Area 2 is up around the Spring Glen, Kenilworth area. Area 3 is more down here in around the Carbonville Price area. And currently we have serving in Area 2, Keith Cox from Spring Glen and John Richens from Area 3. And both of them have expressed desires to stay on the board. And we have received applications from Bradley Marston for Area 2, Lena Topolovic from Area 2, and we received a late application from Stephanie Thomas, and she's also living in Area 2. So we have 4 possibilities for Area 2, only 1 for Area 3. So John Richens is the only applicant for Area 3.
I think John and Keith do a great job. I would make a motion to reinstate John Richards and Keith Cox.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. The next one is the Weed Board, and there are 5 vacancies, and nobody cares about weeds.
Until they're in their road or something. Right?
We do have a weed department that does their best at spraying weeds, but there's no way they could get it all sprayed, so hope you're all patient. Next one is the Recreation Transportation Special Service District. This is the board that was created back when the mineral lease money began to flow into the valley from coal and from natural gas. And the federal lands, BLM and forest, where these minerals are extracted, give money to the county from those mineral monies that go to the federal government. And in order for us to receive our payment in lieu of tax that the federal government gives to the county, that money could not come directly to the county from the mineral lease money. So a board had to be created to bring that money in, and that board has been in existence now, I don't know how many years, but a long time.
Since 88, I believe, 1988.
Probably. And back when it was put in place, there was quite a bit of money coming in, and as much as $8 million a year through parts of those years. And so that board had the responsibility of figuring out what to do with all of that money. And there was quite a bit of lots of decisions that had to be made. And so that board was set up with 7 members. And legally, we could change the size of the board. Currently today, there's very little they have to do because there's no money coming through, and most all of the money that comes to that board right now is given to the county under a contract that we have with them. So,
And they are the only paid board members.
Yes,
that we have.
There's they do get a monthly If they attend the meeting, they get a monthly check. I think it's $60. Everybody but you.
Yeah, I don't get, that's okay.
Any thoughts?
Where there's not very much money coming in, I see that there's value in reducing the size of the board. For me, the question comes in is how do we move forward? That would leave 5 people on the same term. Basically, they would all come up at the same time. So do we? What's the best way to move forward? Do we make everybody reapply and appoint 5, or those that are on there we just stagger their terms? What's the best?
I think it would be best to stagger the terms of those who are left on.
To extend. If
To
we had to, we
extend.
could extend someone's appointment.
Yeah, if
For
they're
a
all
year or
terminating
two.
at the same time.
Okay.
And I wish it was the case where we had coal mines and other extraction industries coming into the area, but even with Rocky Mountain Power's IRP, their long-term plan, they are going more into the renewables side. We've had meetings with others, and there's just not a lot of mineral extraction going on in our community right now. So I think it'd be, I don't see a need that we need 7 as well on the board. I think it's pretty good vision looking forward. So if that's a motion.
So maybe include in that to look at the expiration terms of the others and make sure we've got some stagger going on if it requires the extension of some of the members that are on there.
Did you have anything else, case? Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we reduce the size of the Recreation Transportation Special Service District Board to 5, and that we'll stagger the remaining board members to offset their term.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 11 is ratification of resolution number 2022-02 to recertify Carbon County Justice Court. Lynn, do you want to help us with that one?
Sure. The Justice Court the state requires that the Justice Court be recertified every 4 years. And in order to recertify, the county has to show that all the state requirements are being met, and they have to send in a number of documents that state, for example, how many cases are being handled and that all the rules are being followed. We've done that, and all the documents have been submitted. And so we haven't heard back yet that it's been recertified, but our end of the project is finished. And we just need to ratify the resolution that has been sent in at this point.
Thank you for all the work that you and the judge and everybody else put into that. I'll make a motion to approve the ratification of resolution 2022-02, recertifying the Carbon County Justice Court.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 13, consideration and possible approval of the Utah Railway Equipment Rack Space Lease Agreement at the 4 Mile Hill site. I think this is at our radio tower on 4 Mile Hill. Utah Railway has rented space in that for many years. That helps them with their rail activity from Martin across the west end of the valley here. So I don't think it's too big of no questions.
I don't have any questions, and I would make a motion that we approve the Utah Railway Equipment Rack Space Leasing Agreement for 4 Mile Hill site.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 14, consideration and possible approval of the Price Communication Center Cooperative Agreement. The dates from July 1st of 2022 through June 30th of 2027. So 4-year or 5-year agreement.
Commissioners, this is kind of an amendment to the agreement that we already have with dispatch. Basically, we try and project out there 5 years in advance, and every year we amend it because of the salary increases that are given at the dispatch center. The main part of this would be Exhibit A towards the back of the document that shows the salary increases and the expenses to each of the participants. Carbon County's portion is $370,634. Carbon County pays half of the half, so dispatch pays half of the total contract. The state does, and then the remaining half, we pay half of the half as the county, and then we pay for the portion of the unincorporated portions of the county by population, and so that's our portion. Price City pays for their by their population. So does Wellington and all the others. The only other people that are in on this, AP&P, the school district, and the university pay not by population, but they just pay a certain amount every year. So it's pretty straightforward. We look at it every year and just add the increase of whatever. The equipment usually stays pretty close to the same. It's usually just the salary increases that the state gives their employees.
These are employees of the state, not the county.
Correct.
Any other? Go ahead. Let's get to any other discussion.
I don't have any other discussion. Any questions?
No. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the Price Communication Center Cooperative Agreement, July 1 of 2022 to June 30 of 2027.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
If you guys are okay with it, that's in a DocuSign that was sent to me, and I'll just, now that it's approved, I'll sign it and send it off.
Perfect. Thank you. Item 15, ratification of the 2023 Carbon County Predation Management Plan and the USDA Memorandum of Understanding with Predator Damage Management participants. Commissioner Hopes, can you tell us what that one is?
Yeah, this is one that comes every year as well. We have an agreement with USDA. There's a state hunter or hunters that we pay a portion of that salary or into that program, and they come out and take care of wildlife that are encroaching into our cities and into our livestock. So if there's a problem with, say, a mountain lion getting into the sheep or a bear or coyotes in the local community, they go out and take care of those. That's part of this. We pay in 14 and we get 7 of it back. So really the contract's 7,000.
Any other questions or discussion?
I don't. I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we ratify the 2023 Carbon County Predation Management Plan with the USDA Memorandum of Understanding with Predator Damage Management participants.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 16 is a ratification of a Memorandum of Understanding with Utah Department of Transportation and Carl Krantz for Emergency Watershed Protection Project in Crandall Canyon. This one is a project that's we're working to fix the flood and erosion problems from the Bear Fire. And there's a project in Crandall Canyon. Most everybody will be aware when it has rained hard that Highway 6 is closed in Price Canyon, and there's a lot of flood debris comes down. And this is a project that will help fix that. The Highway Department, Department of Transportation, is going to replace the existing culvert that goes underneath Highway 6 and will install it's basically a box bridge underneath there that will be, I don't know, 6 or 7 times larger than the culvert that's in there. And then there's work up the canyon, and part of this project is on private property that's owned by Carl Krantz, and part of it is in Utah Department of Transportation's right-of-way. The county is the only applicant that can apply to the NRCS, the national government, for funding to help with the project. And they give approved projects 75% of the money to fix the problems, and then the county has to come up with the other 25% under the contract agreement with the NRCS. So in this case, up in Crandall Canyon, the county agreed with UDOT and also Carl Krantz that 25% match would not be paid for by the county, but would be paid for by UDOT for their portion of it. And then there's work up farther up the canyon on Carl Krantz's property that would benefit him. And so this memorandum of understanding is an agreement that they will pay that 25% and not put that burden on the county. So, any other questions about that? That project is, the upper part of the canyon is already started, and that's why we're ratifying this, because we've been under a strict timeline with the NRCS, and we hope that this job would have been finished earlier, but we've been waiting for some of the clearances that had to be obtained to satisfy the federal government. So the contractor is up there in the upper part of Crandall Canyon working on Carl Krantz's portion, and they're supposed to start on probably this next week on the lower part. So we have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow for the lower part where UDOT will begin their work. And maybe a little more, so UDOT is actually going to bring their crews in and perform some of the work themselves prior to the contractor coming in to do the final work. So that's how they're coming up with part of the match money that they have to come up with. And the NRCS allows for us to self-perform the match work. We just have to keep close track of it.
So perfect. I have no questions.
I'll make a motion to ratify the memorandum of understanding between Carbon County and the UDOT Department of Transportation and Carl Krantz.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Item 17, consideration and possible approval of the 2023 tentative budget. Seth?
Commissioners, each year we go through with the budget process, meet with department heads about their current year budget and what they propose for next year's budget. We have prepared a tentative budget for 2023. I've given you a copy of that. As part of tonight, I'd just like to give a brief high-level overview of the proposed budget for 2023. And I think the best way to do that is to compare the budget or the proposed budget for next year to our current budget that we have for 2022. So I think we'll just cover this by fund, if that's all right. Starting with Fund 10 is our general fund. It has most of our county departments in it. There's a proposed increase of $509,000 to that budget, which would make it a total budget for Fund 10 of $17,599,000. The increase is due mainly to increased costs in health insurance premiums. Our health insurance was increased by $460,000 year over year. The other $49,000 is due to a 3% COLA for employees. Fund 15 is our tourism fund. We are proposing an increase of $35,000 to make a total of $712,000 in expenses for their budget for next year. The increase is due to continued increase, as Tina mentioned, to what the county brings in transient room and restaurant tax. Continues to increase year over year. Next is Fund 19, which is our rec department. They're proposing a decrease of $36,000 to make a total of $521,000 in expenses for 2023 in that fund. Next is Fund 20. It's our municipal services fund. This includes our highway general, our B&C road. We've got the building department. We also have the sheriff's department in there and animal control. There's a proposed increase of $1,050,000 to their budget to make a total of $8,355,000. The increase is mainly due to increased costs to maintain roads, as well as there's a large ask from the road department for equipment that is either stopped working or is near the end of its life cycle. There's also a small amount of that will be for that 3% COLA for those departments. Fund 24 and 25 is our senior center and senior center health or food. There's a proposed increase of $100,000 to those combined funds, which would total a $370,000 expenses for Fund 24 and $767,000 in expenses for Fund 25. And the main increase there is due to a continued increase in food, as well as Robbie Jensen stepping down and having to fill his position with someone who is not covering Emery County and Carbon counties. So it's going to cost us a little bit more for salary and benefits for that change. The next fund is Fund 26. This is our fairgrounds. There's an increase proposed of $60,000, which would make a total of $634,000 expenses for Fund 26 next year. That's due mainly to an increase in cost for maintenance of our ball fields and soccer fields, as well as some additional part-time employee expenses. Fund 28 is our economic development fund. There's a proposed decrease of $60,000, which would be a total of $273,000. The main difference there is that this year we have approximately $60,000 budgeted for what was left of Brownsfield grant expenditures. We will no longer have that as an expense for next year. 145 is our capital improvements. There's no change there. It's $15,000 is our proposed budget for next year for maintenance for cell towers. 154 is our airport. There's a decrease of $230,000 proposed. The total budget would be $148,000 in expenses. The main change there is a decrease from what we have budgeted for 2022 for the remaining expenses on the snow removal equipment shed that we won't have next year. Fund 55 is our proprietary fund, and there's no change there. We've proposed that it stay at $924,000. which is approximately what we bring in from the lease to sub-district court. The final fund is Fund 56, which is our municipal building authority. There's a decrease of 600,000, so that the total budget would be 2,004,000 for Fund 56, and the change there is that we budgeted 600,000 this year in 2022 for any additional costs associated with the remodel of the Southeastern Utah Health Department building. All of that's covered by bonds that are paid by the Southeastern Utah Health Department, and we will no longer have any expenses related to that remodel in 2023. So that's the reason for the change there. That's kind of the high level on the budget and the changes that were that are being proposed for next year. If you have any questions.
I don't have any questions. Thanks for all your work on it.
Yeah, I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
I don't have any either. I appreciate all the effort goes into putting that together. We have to guess how much is going to come in and guess how much we're going to spend. So that's sometimes it takes adjustments throughout the year to balance that. We have a motion to approve the 2023 tentative budget.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the 2023 tentative budget.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I forgot to mention, sorry to interject, that we do have copies of our tentative budget in our office. They've been there for 10 days as required by code. That's one of the reasons that I didn't go into more detail tonight on the proposed budget, but if anybody would like a copy of it, they can get that in our office.
Okay, thank you, Seth. Item 18 is to set a public hearing date for the 2023 Carbon County budget and the 2022 amended budget.
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing date for the 2023 Carbon County budget hearing and also the 2022 amended budget hearing for Wednesday, December 21st at our next regularly scheduled commission meeting.
I'll second that motion.
One question is that, do we want to hold a public hearing just as part of the meeting or set a time for it? We did that once, had a 6 o'clock start time for that public hearing to let people get out of work and come.
Seth, you had a comment?
I think at times in the past we've just kept it at the regular time, just done it as the last item on the agenda. I think I'm not certain, but I think a lot of times when we've done it later on, that was associated with the changes we made to taxes and tax increases in the past.
Okay. Had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Possible closed session, item 19. Possible closed session for the purpose of discussing the character and professional competence of an individual. We're still on for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session for the purpose of discussing the character and professional competence of an individual and subject to the code. And I don't know what the code is, but
Oh,
that,
I don't know off the top of my head.
okay. And then I believe we have to have a roll call vote, right?
Yes.
So Commissioner Hopes, yes.
Commissioner Jensen, yes.
Commissioner Martinez, yes.
At 5